Okay, we're going to switch gears from Photoshop and start working with Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is more of a graphic as far as different shapes and organization of shapes than it is Photoshop, or like Photoshop's more photography and pictures. Illustrator is more of the graphic part of it, the logos, the thing that's on the background of my computer. That is more Illustrator. So to get to Illustrator, you have to click on your Start button and click on All Programs, Adobe Design and Web Premium, or Adobe. Find the Adobe file and click on Illustrator. Once you have Illustrator up, click File. Let's click Browse and Bridge. Okay, our bridge looks exactly the same as it did in Photoshop. Our bridge has not changed. But instead of having just our Photoshop library over here, we need to add our Illustrator file into our favorites. So to do that, you need to click on Computer, go to Multimedia, go to your folder, and find your name. Then remember, to set a folder as a favorite, you need to right click on that folder and click Add to Favorites. And go to Illustrator, Lessons, and this is Lesson 2. Okay, so we are going to open L2 Start _1. And let's click on File, Save As. Go to your name file, go to Assignments. In your Assignments folder, I want you to create a new folder called Illustrator, Lesson 2. And you can save it as L2 Start inside your Illustrator Lesson 2 folder. Click Save. This box will always pop up giving you Illustrator options. You can always click OK. What you can see is that Illustrator allows you to have multiple artboards at once. So the white space is called your artboards. And I will confuse them all the time. I will call them canvases just like in Photoshop. You'll have to bear with me, but I am talking about your artboards. The dock is slightly different because they have it minimized or collapsed instead of the full frame. If you want it to be full frame, you just hit the double-headed arrow. With having multiple artboards available in Illustrator, it's a little bit harder to keep this open because it takes up space. The toolbar has a similar look, however, the tools are slightly different, so you have to watch your tools. The option bar has not changed, it's still at the top. It gives you options depending on what tool you have selected. If you pick up an Illustrator book or even any Photoshop, any of those books, they do label this as the control panel. So it's a little bit different, but it's the same thing. Option bar, control panel, it's the same thing. The first tool that we would like to work with is the selection tool, which is your first tool. Kind of looks like a move tool, but it is called your selection tool. Hover over one of the apples, but don't click. Just notice that when you hover over, it tells you path or anchor. Those are different points that are available, which is part of Smart Guides. Smart Guides are snap-to guides that help you align, edit, and transform objects or artboards. Now click one of the red apples. Notice that it selects the entire apple. It gives you a box around it, just like it would if you were selecting something in Photoshop. Press the Shift key and click the other apple. So one way to select multiple images is to use your Shift key. Move the apples You can move one of the apples by clicking the center of one apple. And let's click on select and deselect. Notice, if you got used to using the shortcut key in Photoshop for deselect, notice that the deselect shortcut key has changed for Illustrator. So you need to make note of what the difference is, so that way you don't try to do the same shortcut keys. They are different. So go ahead and click on select and deselect. Deselecting deselects everything. The second tool that we would like to look at is the direct selection tool, which is the second tool. Click on view and click fit artboard on window or in window. Click one of the points of the fence. Okay, notice how it selects just the points. It does not put a box around it. So click one of your apples to see, since we worked with our apples before, it shows all the little points around the apple. It does not just give you a box. That gives you the direct selection tool directly affects the sides of all of your object. And click, so let's go back up and click on one of our fence posts and click at the top point and drag down. So notice how it's dragging the point down. Click on edit and undo. And let's deselect. Switch back to your selection tool, which is the black one. Click somewhere close but outside the red apples, and I want you to drag a box around it. Clicking and dragging like this is called a marquee, drawing a marquee. So this is another way that you can select more than one object at once. You can click and drag and select a marquee. So pressing shift, we're drawing a marquee. Let's go to select and deselect. Let's click back on the direct selection tool. Click close but outside the point of a fence, one of the fence points, and then drag so that 2 points will be selected. So you want to select 2 fence posts. Notice that the fence posts are selected but do not have the box around them like the apples did. So remember, the direct selection tool directly impacts each individual object. So it's going to select each individual object, but it selects them together. With your selection tool, it puts a box around them to show you that you have them together. Let's go ahead and select and deselect. Click the selection tool, which is your first tool again. Click the first fence post. On the option bar, click the arrow next to select similar objects. And what it is it's this little icon right here. Okay, it has 4 little arrows inside of a box. Click the down arrow. And that's actually your align to. So okay, so this is actually your align to selection, align to key object, and align to artboard. Our select similar objects icon is at the very end, and you want to click the drop down arrow, and you want to click on stroke weight. Since the stroke weight of all of our fence posts is the same, it selects all of the fence posts. On the menu bar, click select, click save selection, and type fence. Remember just like in Photoshop, saving a selection will save you time later. And click OK. Or click select on the menu bar. So let's deselect everything and let's select on the menu bar and click fence. So notice that it loads our fence selection. On the option bar, click the down arrow next to Align To button, which remember is this one right here, and click Align To Selection. Make sure there's a check mark next to it. On the option bar, click the vertical line to the bottom. Okay, so you have these nice 9 little tools right here that are available to you. The first 6 are alignment tools, the next 6 are distribute tools or distribute buttons. Align and distribute are different. Align will allow you to align them all together. Distribute allows you to make each section or make the space between each part the same. Notice that once you align all of the fence posts at the bottom, you have one fence post that's taller than the rest. Click the Direct Selection tool. Notice that it automatically keeps our selection selected. Click the top of the tallest fence post. So click the very top point. Press Shift and click the top of the fence post next to it. So either side. Then click Vertical Align Top. Okay, so it's very important that you make note of the order that I did that. So I'm going to undo it just to show you. Remember, we clicked on this point first and then this point. Okay, we wanted to align this fence post with this fence post. So the order, the way that you click your fence post will determine the order that they or how they align. Once you have them on the same path, let's deselect. Another way to deselect, other than going select and deselect all the time, is to click anywhere in the gray area. And that's the quickest way to do it. Click the selection tool. Then click select on the menu bar and click fence. So we're selecting our fence again. Notice that our fence has a small little space between 2 fence posts, a large space between 2 fence posts, and then a medium size, and a small size, and a large size. If we try to put this fence up in real life, I'm pretty sure that my dog would fit through this one or this one. So we need to make sure that we have an evenly distributed fence. To do that, you're going to click on one of your distribute buttons at the top, and you want his horizontal distribute to the center, so it evens out all the space. Just like in Photoshop, if you don't know what you're clicking on, you can hover over it and it'll tell you what it is. So let's deselect. Let's click on our status bar, and our status bar is down here at the bottom, and we want to click Next Artboard. It switches us over to Artboard 2, or the artboard with the tree. Using the selection tool, click the green part that is supposed to be the leaves. Click the Align To Selection button. So right now it says Align To Selection. Click the drop down arrow and you want Align To Artboard. And click the horizontal Align Center. So see, the difference is aligning to your artboard will align it to the actual artboard or the paper. Aligning to selection aligns to whatever you have selected. Click the brown trunk of the tree and click horizontal align to the center. And then click the vertical align to the bottom. Press shift and click the green part of the tree. Click object on the option bar and click, or on the menu bar, and click group. Okay, grouping an object. Well, now if we try to move this, it'll move it all together at once. Okay. Also, if you deselect and you want the trunk of the tree, well, you're going to get the whole thing now that it's grouped together. Let's click on the previous artboard button on the status bar. So go down to your status bar and go previous. Use your marquee to drag a selection around your fence. Click object on the option bar and click group. So we want our fence to be grouped also. And deselect. Click the white bar on the lower part of the artboard. Move it so that it is in the center of the fence. Use your smart guides to help you make sure it's aligned properly. So as you go to align, notice how a green line pops up to help you show that it's aligned to the center. Once you have it aligned perfectly in the center, it'll show you. And then you can deselect. Using your selection tool, click one of the apples, the red apples. Click View on the menu bar and click Fit All in Window. Okay, so this is different from Fit Artboard in Window because it fits all of your artboards in Window. If you click View Fit Artboard in Window, it'll fit just one. Fit All in Window fits all of them. Okay, so let's click on our apple and drag our apple to the tree. But notice that it hides behind the tree. So be careful. Do not off-click your apple. This is similar to layers, as the apple was created before the tree and the tree lays on top of the apple. With the apple still selected, click Object on the menu bar and click Arrange and click Bring to Front. So our apple comes to the front. So now let's repeat for the other two apples. Okay, let's draw a marquee around our fence. The reason we're not just going to load a selection is because we also have this white bar that we want to move over. Drag all of the fence and the white bar over so it fits perfectly on artboard 2. Okay, so now we want to click Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. Click View and Fit Artboard in Window. And we can double click on Artboard 2. And then Fit Artboard in Window again. Okay, go ahead and deselect if you haven't already. Click the rectangle on top of the fence. Press and hold your Alt key and drag straight down to make a copy of the rectangle. press Shift and click the other rectangle. Click Object, Arrange, Send Backward. So you just want to send it backward one place. And then you can deselect. Click on the hat, and I want you to drag the hat over and lay it on one of the fence posts, and you may have to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, so it hangs out on one of the fence posts. Okay, so now you can go File and Save, and you can close. You'll have to watch Illustrator. If you noticed, it had that there was an error and I had to close my program. Make sure that you save often with Illustrator because Illustrator seems to have some bugs. You can also close out of your bridge. Then we are finished with lesson 2.